The online system for adult safeguarding has been in the offing for a long time. It is going to advance safer, more secure and more timelier notification of both community referrals that come in from professionals and from the public and from yourselves who are submitting preliminary screening forms and engaging with the safeguarding and protection teams in what we call the oversight function, which is a role that Ruth and our colleagues right throughout the country undertake. So we're delighted we've got to this point. It's been a long journey. I'm going to now hand you over to Marguerite, and for about the next 40-45 minutes, herself and Ruth will take you through the online system for adult safeguarding, with particular reference to the delegation portal and how that will operate, and also to look at what's called the group tray function and what that would mean. Okay, so I'm now going to pass you over to my colleague Marguerite Clancy.
Good morning, everybody. So this morning I'm just going to speak just a small bit of background on, the process that we defined this morning is defined by the policies, the 2014 policy that has been in place. So we're conscious of the fact that our structures and things could evolve and change over the coming months, and to say that this system is it's based on the as is, but it's going to be adaptable. And so based on the way things will evolve, we will be responding to that, both in terms of structure and the way we do business. This is very much seen as the first phase in a development process of engagement between the services and ourselves in an electronic system. The provider of the system was formerly known as Liquid Logic. Now they've been acquired by System C. They have huge expertise, particularly in the UK, where they hold over half of the safeguarding case management systems. And I suppose they have a huge reputation behind them. In terms of the components of the system that we're going to speak to, I suppose the full case management system, which we will refer to at times, is the online system for adult safeguarding. And this is what is in place in our safeguarding and protection teams. This went live 2 weeks ago. So the teams now are using it to process their community concerns. And come next week, we will then be engaging with our service concerns through the same process. This is a case management system, and the portal will be kind of the primary way that will feed the system in terms of the allocation of duty and oversight work. What we're going to speak to today is the adult safeguarding portal, which is very important for you from a service perspective. And we're also going to speak about the delegation portal. And this is how the teams will engage with you as services, as DOs, to be able to delegate tasks out. So the next steps in being able to progress on a case. So we're going to speak to both of those processes. I suppose just to mention, we're always cognizant of the changes that, particularly the moving forward document on adult safeguarding in the HSE and how that will impact on future ways of working. So this, I suppose, why change? Look at it, as Tim mentioned previously, it's been a long time coming. The requirement for a safer, more secure way of communication between all of us. This is a national system, so it's a secure national system. It's a cloud-based solution, so it's hosted in Azure, 2 locations where the information is stored in the Netherlands and in Dublin. So it enhances the risk, I suppose, associated with any cyber attacks. It'll provide enhanced reporting and that will inform any future service developments because of all of the information being queryable. It's a provision of a standardised, safer communication between the HSE and our HSE staff, HSE and HSE funded services, and wider interagency referral network. So we spoke last week and we did a webinar with both healthcare professionals and professionals working across society, really, and how they can engage on our portal. But today our focus is on yourselves within HSE and HSE funded services, where there's kind of additional responsibility because of the policy that we're governed by. It's going to lead to a faster, more accurate notification process, and also it's a client-centered approach. So we'll speak to aspects of the system, for example, the IHI, which is the unique health identifier. So that's embedded in this system. So any submission that's made, it's queryable against IHI, so we can do matches, and that's across, again, on a national basis, being able to connect people, which is really important, particularly when we're talking about adults at risk of abuse. And it provides a standardised case management functionality between our teams, leading to greater standardisation. Last week, as I mentioned, we spoke about the professional referrals making reporting concerns. These go into a duty workflow, and they are, once a decision is made on safeguarding or not, they progress through to be managed by the safeguarding team. So that process was discussed. So if you are on this webinar, and if you currently make a community referral into the safeguarding team and the safeguarding team manage, well, then the last week's webinar is the one for you, and there will be a recording available on our website. Today we're going to talk through our HSE and HSE funded service communication. So we're going to talk through logging a preliminary screening on the adult safeguarding portal, how that process then is reviewed by the safeguarding and protection team in terms of oversight, making recommendations, and how they are communicated via the delegation portal in the assignment of tasks. The PSF4A, for example, being the requirement to be completed. Then you've also got the like a formal safeguarding plan, and how those tasks can be communicated, directed and delegated to an individual, or the potential within larger organizations to delegate to a group, and the formation of those groups will be kind of an integral part of work that we'll be doing over the coming months. So just to mention, I'm going to show you some screenshots of the portal. Some of you may have seen it before from when we did our regional engagements. There is certain aspects of the portal that you can come on and view without actually creating an account. So, for example, if you come on to the adult safeguarding portal, you've got safeguarding information, advice, and contact details. So by clicking on that, you can go and see details on our safeguarding teams, some training guidance, and some details on adults at risk of abuse. Similarly, there's portal help and support that you can access. But today we're going to be going through the reporting a safeguarding concern. So there's three routes. There's public, professional, and HSE and HSE funded service. So as I mentioned, the first two routes were discussed last week at our webinar, and this week we're going through the HSE and HSE funded services. When you click on this for the first time, you're going to be prompted to create a portal account. So for new users, you're going to have to register for a new account. So that's just the first time, and after that you'll be using your email password submission process on here on the left-hand side. So when you want to create and register for a new account, you're going to be prompted to provide some details. So your name, your surname, your address. What we would suggest is, because you're using this in a professional capacity, it is your work address and work details, work email that you use within the process. You can see where there is red asterisks, that denotes that there is mandatory fields and has to be completed. So then you provide an email address and a password, and you confirm your password. There are some details here on password policies around the fact the length of it must be, there must be at least one letter, certain categories around digits, and it must be different to your previous three passwords. So you can provide all of that information using the password policy, and that will be, you'll proceed then to be provided with a code. So what I would say to you is, when you're going through this process, you need to have access to your email, either on the system, or else if you get your email through your phone, so that you can cross-check and you can get your code. And once you input, then that brings you straight into the system. And I'll go into the live system in just a moment, and I'll be able to show you how that process works. Just to mention, there is going to be certain time points, and I will mention that email circulation, emails will happen within the system. I'm not going to show and demonstrate those emails at each stage, but just to note that for each time you log into the process, you're going to get an email. if you decide, and I will show you how to do this, if you decide you're in the process of making a submission and you save it, you will also get a saved referral for email. When you submit something, you'll get a confirmation email. If there is an update in relation to the portal submission, you'll get a response. And then in terms of delegation, there's also email communication that are received. So there's just a number of time points where you will be communicated from the system. I just want you to note, I suppose, in relation to those, you may want to set up some sort of folder that those items go into. But they're important from two perspectives, because if you're an infrequent user of the system, those emails will have a hyperlink that would prompt you and bring you to, to log into your account. But alternatively, I suppose, if you're a frequent user of the system, you're going to be on the portal daily. So you may just want to store those emails, but you'll have the record of them. We're just going to move screens. I'm going to bring you all here onto the portal. So I'm going to log in my email. So you submit that. A code is issued to my email. And just to mention as well, the codes usually come in quite quickly. There can be some slight delay on the HSE side, but that relates to more the security on the HSE side rather than any issues from the service, from the provider perspective. Okay, so in terms of the portal, so you've got details here. So I've got my saved accounts, my submitted forms. I can update my account details. So here I'm going to go start a new submission. Again, you can just go up here into a zoom function if you want this to be larger. So we go to HSE and HSE funded, and the design of the system is based on a CHO. So when you're making your submission, you're making it on a CHO basis, because that will be communicated into the work tray. Like I'm working today with Ruth. Now we're going to be working through, although Ruth is based in CHO 6, but today we're going to work through the CHO 1 workflow, and the information is going to be sent from me and it will land in the work tray of CHO 1 oversight work tray for Ruth then to process on her end. So it gives you some guidance here on how the tool works in terms of the ability to be able to save at any stage, be able to print a copy. You can create a PDF at any stage if you want to do that before submission, if you need to communicate that within your organization, using the next or the previous buttons on screen as opposed to using the browser. Then I'm just going to progress here, and anything with a symbol with an asterisk, denotes that it's mandatory and has to be completed. So the referral details, these come up every time, and it asks if you're the designated officer. If you state that you're not the designated officer, it asks you who is, and that's the importance of that is for the delegation task and being able to issue that to the designated officer. The contact method is via the portal, and so in this case, I'm completing it in a professional capacity, and I am residential staff. And the person's name is Faye Ryan. So this is the adult at risk, and date of birth. I'm going to go again. Really important to have this information because for IHI purposes, we want to do matches on as many factors and many of these core details: name, surname, date of birth, gender, first line of address. That's why air code has been factored into it as well. So I'm just going to show you here in terms of postcode, we're encouraging the use of that would say air code in the live. I'm in train at the moment. So in terms of, I'm just going to show you here, you can put in a postcode and find address, and it will automatically provide you with the relevant information. We're just going to put in some provisions around if the air code isn't known, that you can put in a code and then you can actually enter some information to be able to, into the address fields, like mandatory fields, but as things stand, we would encourage the use of the AIR code to be able to get that match on an individual. And the address that we would be using at this stage for the person, for the adult at risk of abuse, would be their home address, so that, you know, prior to coming into residential care. If they've obviously been in residential care a long time, then it would be the residential address. Is the current address a HICWA designated centre? In this case, we're going to say where the service, that they're going to be in a HICWA designated centre. And if you put in the HICWA ID, it'll actually default the name of the centre that the person is currently within. So we're going to say this is within residential care. There is some, we're just working out some finer details here in relation to if it's a disability day service or day service for older persons, that you also will be able to click on those and provide service ID information. So that, and again, this is all around standardization. It's all around being able to generate reports and be able to, you know, target those at an individual unit, be it within a day service or within a residential service. Here you're going to provide a brief description. I'm just going to copy the details here in the item just for just ease of completion, but you're providing a description of the adult at risk, and if there's any communication or support needs are going to be documented here. Note that these fields are mandatory, so if they don't apply, you just can write when this one is non-applicable. So, as I said, you can mention, as I mentioned previously, you can save this if you get, you know, distracted and or need to go to some other task. You can save and you can come back. And if something is saved, it is available in the draft forms for 30 days. So then you're progressing. So many of the fields here replicate what you're currently doing. It's the current work processes. It's replicating in most aspects the preliminary screening which you are completing. It's just providing electronic means to do so. In terms of, we're going to say that the safeguarding arose on the 12th, and then we're going to document and we're going to say who raised the concern. So this was residential staff, and the location was actually within the residential care home. We're going to say, in this case, is the adult risk where the concern is being raised. We want to say that they have been. And again, we're just documenting details, documenting as much information as possible for submission to the team. And what is known of the wishes, the adult's wishes, is concerned. So in relation to this, it's not linked to any other concern, and it wasn't observed, and you can document any response to date. In this case, they're going to say that there was no ongoing risk, and in relation to capacity considerations, there's no issues that need documenting there. In terms of out of area placement, if this is subject to an out of area placement, if you selected yes, then you have to document if the funder has been informed, and then which CHO that relates to. So there's this relates both to the adult at risk and also the person wasn't concerned. So we're just going to say no in relation to those, but I just wanted to show you the expandable fields in relation to those. In relation to this, the submission from the service is going to be that there's no grounds. Just to note that if there was reasonable grounds, this immediate actions becomes mandatory, and you need to complete that along with the interim safeguarding plan, which is further on. So we're going to say no grounds here. There's a code there on the person causing concern. And then we're doing gender, so it's a male, and it was another service user, and they haven't been named in any previous preliminary screenings, and they are, yes, they're aware of it. Okay. So as we progress here, we've got the ability then to be able to attach any supporting documentation, be it Word documents, PDFs, or images, and you can just upload that in the usual format. This process of uploading documents is also available when you are within the delegation portal. So in relation to this, then we spoke with, we're going to the next, and then we can send our referral to the safeguarding and protection team. and you submit. So you get this notification. So you can see here that portal service CH01, Faye Ryan, no response yet, so that means that the team hasn't dealt with it. As we progress through the process, Faye Ryan will become received and under reviewed when she's actually going to be seen by the team. So as things stand, there's no response yet. But when that status is updated, as I mentioned to you in the emails that you receive, you actually will receive an email to say that status is updated now to received and reviewed. So you know that the team have sight of it, are creating contact and doing the necessary steps that Ruth is going to speak to now in the next slide.
Hello everyone. So I'll just talk a bit about what we would do as the safeguarding and protection teams. So client Faye Ryan will appear into our oversight work tray for CH06, and what our administrator will do is see whether she's known on our legacy system, and we'll also see whether she's known already on the new system. The administrator is going to create the contact, which will then be screened by the safeguarding and protection team member that's on duty that day. So in this case, there was an outcome of no grounds, so we're not in agreement with no grounds in this case, so we're going to change that to reasonable grounds. And as we're going to do that, we complete the PSF 3, which it now incorporates a PSF 4, which is the part the service is complete. So we delegate that out, the PSF 4A, to the services for completion. And also with that would be a request for them to complete our interim safeguarding plan. They then complete that on their system and return to us through the portal. Once we get that back through the portal, we agree it at our end. On this occasion, we feel that a formal safeguarding plan is requested, so we're going to delegate that out back to the designated officer in the service for completion. They will complete the FSP document and plan, and then they will return it to us through the portal system.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Ruth. So just back, I'm just going to show you in terms of, so this is the delegation portal, and in terms of creating a delegation account, it's the same process. You'd register for a new account and you go through the same details of recording your, your work contact details, your address, and password. So the same policy, same procedure for both. I'm just going to log in now and just show you. So into the delegation portal account, you're going to have, again, an access code for each time that you log in. Okay, so this shows the tasks. Again, this is me logged in. These are the manager. I am in this case, and I am a manager of a service. So something can be delegated to me as an individual, and in this case, Faye Ryan, the completion of the PSF 4 has been sent to me as an individual. In a moment, we can speak to the fact that you can create groups. So this is my task list. So I can click on this task and I'm brought to the PSF 4. So as Ruth mentioned, the PSF 3 in this process is amalgamated. So the feedback that you would provide, that the team would provide you with, is within the PSF 4A that's delegated. So here is your feedback. And then the last section here is for the service to actually reply with any clarifications. And I would provide this, so I can provide any details within that. and then I can progress to next, and I'm able to attach a document. And in this case, I could attach now the interim safeguarding plan that has been requested, so I can upload a document, and I can, I'm just giving a sample there of an attached document, and then I go to submit contribution. So you can see here, Faye Ryan, that's the date of birth, that's the address, that's the information gathering, comments sent back, and then there was a requirement to have that completed by the 22nd. So I'm ahead of myself, and I am submitting that back now. And once I do submit contribution, have you entered the information you need to? And I say yes. And that task now disappears from my task list. So that returns to the safeguarding team, where Ruth described how the PSF 4B would be completed by the team, and then they can progress in the workflow. They can progress to the formal safeguarding stage. So the next task that would emerge from that process would be a request for a formal safeguarding plan to be submitted. On this occasion, the service would decide to actually, we don't want to delegate it to Marguerite as an individual, we're going to delegate it to a delegation portal group. So we just come down here. So because I'm a manager, I have access to a list of tasks here that are assigned to me as an individual. I also have access to these work trays. So this facilitates in large organizations where you're dealing with a lot of cases at any one time, and potentially people, you know, are in the office or out of the office. So you want to be able to set up a delegation portal group, and the ability then of anyone who's part of that group to be able to pick up the task. So in this respect, Faye Ryan and the completion of the formal safeguarding plan, because the team have delegated that to a delegation portal testing group, I have the ability to pick up that task. And once I pick it up, then it's going to progress through the details of completing a formal safeguarding plan. So it's going to incorporate aspects of the interim that you have submitted. So it pulls through. So any information previously provided will be pulled through. And then you're going to put in details here on ongoing supports. Details if there was any strategy, we're going to say that's not applicable. Any additional information, and then there are mandatory fields where they are mandatory, they'll need to be completed. It's not linked to any other. No, was there other agencies involved? If there were, you can put in who that agency was. In terms of client identified goals, this is an aspect of it, so it's mandatory and we need to be completed. If there is any additional fields that you want to include in your safety plan, so this was included in the interim, you can just click on a plus sign here and that will give you another line. So complete item 3, and who's going to do the 3, and the join line is actually going to be trying this task as well. And then we can put a plan date. You click on now, it will automatically put in the date and time. And again, the ability to be able to save at this stage or submit. So the same functionality that is available in the portal is available also in the delegation portal. So in terms of, I'm going to go next, I have the ability again to be able to attach a document if required. And in this case, I can view it as a PDF if I wish, or else I can submit my contribution. So just to note, and I know this has come up certainly with engagement with agencies in the past, if you as a manager have assigned something, or something has been picked up by one of your one of the members of the group, and then they happen to be out on leave, unexpected leave, you have the ability to go up here, if you are the manager, into the management tasks, and you have the ability to be able to pull that task, reassign it either back into the group or reassign it to somebody else within the group. So I'm going to click there, reassign, and I can put it back into the delegation portal testing group. And if I OK that, it's gone from there and it goes back in here, and you can see it'll come back shortly into the task group. So that talks through how the delegation portal works in terms of communication task. What I would say is that, you know, your use of the delegation portal, for some, it'll be important to get the prompts via your email. For others, they're going to be in daily in the delegation portal and looking what has been assigned. Just as a final slide in terms of our next steps, there will be resource material made available on the HSE website, and we're just finalising those in terms of these video recordings, and also user guides on how to use the portal and the delegation portal. That the relevant staff within the service should create an account on the adult safeguarding portal and the delegation portal. So as I said, the relevant staff, you know, you'd be talking your DOs or service managers who you know, who complete this sort of information at the moment. Professionals, you know, you're working in a professional capacity, so use your work email and your work address. Ensure that you have access to email when you are going through the login process, because you're going to require the code details as you're progressing through. In terms of, I suppose, at a service manager level, you're going to, I spoke through that group functionality and the availability of that functionality. That's applicable to some organizations, but not all organizations. And that needs to be kind of work in progress between our HSE safeguarding protection teams and our services. So I suppose we're going to put up some information on that again on our HSE website, and for you to consider the requirements for those groups, and maybe then apply through the process that will be outlined. In terms of the making a service submission, we need to maximise the information that's made available to us in terms of addresses, date of births, use of air code, because all of this will aid in client identification, in being able to make a match on the unique health identifier, the IHI. So I would encourage you to provide as much information so that, you know, to assist our safeguarding teams. Just some key factors. Remember that you can save items in draft and it will remain within your saved forms for 30 days. But all forms that are submitted remain for 90 days within the form. So it's important you can access your saved forms. You can you know, you can download from your submitted forms. You can download those documents as PDFs if you need to store them locally, and that's important for your, you know, internal record keeping. So very much the portal, the design of the portal is very much, it's on an individual basis that you come on. It's fully auditable, and even though we speak to this group functionality, at the end of the day, the submission is made by an individual, and even if a task is assigned to a group, it ultimately is picked up by an individual and completed by an individual. So there's that end-to-end tracking that's, you know, that's kind of auditable within this system, which is really, really important. The adult safeguarding portal. So this is the landing page of the portal. I just wanted to first make you aware that if you do land on the portal, you don't necessarily have to create an account to be able to view some aspects of it. So one aspect is the reporting a concern. You've got safeguarding information, advice and contact, and then some portal help and support. In terms of the safeguarding information and advice, if you click on that, it will provide details in relation to our safeguarding and protection teams, information on training, and some background information on relation to vulnerable adults. Coming back out here to our reporting tile, and I'll go into the live system shortly, but I just wanted to show you what's possible even if you don't have an account. So, you know, I suppose our phone lines remain open, our teams remain contactable. So while we will be promoting the portal, there is always the opportunity to be able to contact our safeguarding teams for advice and support. So in terms of reporting a safeguarding concern, if you click on that tile, you're given the three options of public, professional, and HSE and HSE funded. As I said, the focus today is on the professional route, and as I said, we will encourage professionals both within health and, you know, wider in community to contact us, as has been the case since the service was established, where we would link quite closely with our colleagues within many agencies. So in terms of a login, when you click when you click on any of these icons like professional, you will be prompted to create an account. So either to log in with your existing credentials or else to register an account. If you're registering an account, you click on this icon here and you're brought to your registration page, where you'll have to provide your name, your surname, and some details of your address. What I would encourage you to do is, if you're working in a professional capacity, it's your professional details that you will be recording at this stage. You can see there where there's a red asterisk that notes that there's mandatory fields that need to be completed. Then you will be asked for your email, again, encouraging you to complete using your work email. Then you will be asked for a password, and you need to confirm that password, and there will be a match. You know, very similar to other systems that potentially you've used in the past. There is some detail on the side there in terms of password policy, what's appropriate in terms of length, characters, and so forth that you can utilize. Okay, and then each time you register, you're going to be asked for an individual. You'll be sent through your email an individual code. So I'm going to switch now to the system and be able to show you how that actually operates. Okay, bear with me just for a moment. So in this stage, I'm going to log in using my credentials and okay, so once you put in your email and password, then shortly afterwards you will receive a code and input that. And once the code is in, then you're able to progress. Just to note, and I will show you as we go through, you have the ability to be able to save within the portal. So if you start a safeguarding concern and then you are pulled away on something else, you have the ability to be able to save, and you can come back to it at a later stage and complete. So that will actually save in your draft items for 30 days. So I'm actually receiving now my code, so I'm just going to enter that. So it's going to enable me here to start a new submission. So I'm going to click on the professional tile. I'm going to proceed this way. So first of all, you're just given there's going to be some information, just some guidance here. And then next, you have to select the CHO as most appropriate. So I'm going to select, in this case, CHO1, because that's the route, it's a concern relating to a concern in that region. So it's going to show me some details on how the tool works. So basically, you're proceeding down through the items on the left of screen, how the tool works, your details, adult risk of abuse details, details of the concern, the ability to be able to attach any supporting documentation, and then submitting the referral. As mentioned, you need anything with an asterisk. That symbol denotes that you need to complete the field. You've got the ability to be able to save as you go. and you can, as I said, that will remain within your saved items for 30 days. And once you submit something, it remains in your submitted items for 90 days. You also have the ability to be able to print a form, and you can also save a document as a PDF, which may be something that you might need to do for internal records. Okay, so moving on here, you can see those options all available at the bottom. So first of all, my details will always come up. And just to verify, if there was any details that I had a problem with here, I will be able to go here and I can update account details and I could change those. Okay, so I'm happy with these details, and I'm going to just say that the source of this contact is, in this case, I'm going to say it's a public health nurse, and I'm going to say the contact method is via the portal. So I'm completing it. I'm completing it. I'm not completing it for myself, so I'm completing it in a professional capacity. And I'm going to say that my name is Annie Ryan. I'm sorry, the client's name is Annie Ryan, and I need to record either a date of birth or an age. It's one or the other. So I have actually Annie's details, which is great. So I'm going to record those. Next thing, we'll proceed to Annie's gender. Okay, so we don't actually have a telephone. We don't have an email address for her at the moment. Those details aren't mandatory, but beneficial if you have them. The system is based around air code, so there's a mandatory air code field. So if you fill out this and you go find address, it will automatically populate an address. Okay, if the person is in receipt of a service, you can document that service. For example, if it's a day service for older persons or disabilities, or if they're receiving any sort of respite care. In this case, Annie isn't. And does anyone live with the person? We're going to say yes, in this case, and then we have to say who that person is. So she's living with her daughter. Then I'm asked for to provide any brief description of the vulnerable person. I'm just going to copy in those details there. And you would document if there's any communication or support needs. These again are mandatory fields, but if it's not applicable, you can just put in not applicable. Are other services involved? Say no, and then we're going to move on. Then we're proceeding then to provide details of the concern. Again, there's standardization around this. You have a calendar function to know when the concern arose. You click on that calendar function and we'll say the concern arose yesterday. We're going to say it relates to physical and emotional, that the location of the abuse is actually in Annie's own home. And she is aware, the public health nurse has discussed it with her and she's aware that the concern is being raised. And then we provide, the public health nurse is going to provide details in relation to the concern. So there's some kind of little guidance there, just to provide as much information as possible. Then you need to document, what is known as the adult's wishes in relation to the concern. So it may be that, maybe the person causing concern is actually someone who's close to her, and there could be, some considerations in relation to that. So is it deemed at this point that there's ongoing risk? So we're going to say that there is because their living status. Okay. So she's actually living with the person who's causing concern. In relation to capacity considerations, if there are capacity considerations, you document them. Otherwise, you say, no, there are not. So in relation to the details of the person allegedly causing concern, there is some information here just around the necessity of that information and responsibility in providing it. In this case, we're going to say that is Brenda. And we're going to say as above. And then we're going to say what the relationship is. So it is an immediate family member, and is the person aware that, so yes, I'm going to say that they have been spoken to. In relation to contact details, this is information that is desirable. It will be beneficial for the team. So to provide details of the names of GPs. In this case, it is the public health nurse making the referral. So we will put in some logic into that. We're just still developing, but you might just document, I would be putting in my name as the public health nurse. But we will need to include some logic. So this is all information that would assist in the team in being able to deal with concern and knowing where to go and what healthcare professionals to draw on. I've also included kind of other professionals, so there may be somebody outside of health that could be involved with the person. For example, if it was something in relation to financial abuse. So we'll progress this. Then you've got the ability to be able to upload a document, so you can attach a document at this point. And they're like standard documents that you would upload. And then progressing next. And as I mentioned, once you send the referral through and submit, you can go here into my submitted forms, and Annie will appear. So you have so as I mentioned, you've got this, so any submission that is made on the portal, it will show as a no response yet in terms of the submission. And then once it's received and seen by the team, that will change to received and under review. So there's the status changes in time. So all of anything that you have made in terms of submission is here to be viewed in the recently submitted forms. As mentioned, if I go to my saved forms, these are anything that are in draft that I'm able to progress. So just to give you a moment, I'm just going to go back into the home page, and just to, as Dawn mentioned, on the public side of things, the fields are very, very similar. So it's just really in relation to, just going to give you an example, it goes through much the same things. It's how the tool works, then you progress, your details come up in relation to the portal, and then you're completing the details in relation to the adult abuse, at risk of abuse, the details of the concern. You won't be asked for the professional involvement to the same extent, the supporting documentation, and the submit referral. So it's very much the step-by-step process that we explained for the professional referral. So these processes in many respects replicate one another. They're just more mandatory fields in the professional referral. So I'm just going to go back here, and I'm going to stop sharing here for a moment. I just want to go back to some commentary in our presentation. So in terms of the summary of key points in how to use the portal, the URL for the portal is going to be published in advance. We go live on the 23rd of September. So in advance of that, and on that day, we will be publishing both on our website and through our kind of our usual communication channels. So once it's live, we would encourage all professionals to create a portal account. So professionals reporting concerns should use their work email and work address. Ensure, as in the case example of what I just went through there, ensure you have access to your email when you're logging the concern, because the two-factor authentication will mean that the code will come into your email. So you'll need to be able to access that to be able to populate. And the code expires quite quickly. So, you need to have access and log it. In terms of the details that you log within a concern, you need to, I suppose, maximize the information that you provide the teams with. And this assists in, being able to give locations of where people live, their date of births, their proper, their appropriate name, their surname, all of this information. The more information that you feed in, the easier it is for the team in being able to identify and match potentially that client in the system. As you will appreciate, some of the adults at risk of abuse that we are dealing with can often be on the move, within the country, and it's important that a national system can track that movement. So that's why the integration of IHI is really, really integral to the success of the project. So we need you to provide as much detail as possible to assist the teams. Again, for professionals, we're asking you to, provide details on other professionals that are involved with the person, because, within the system, we can build on those profiles and be able to see the wider picture. Remember that you can save the information in draft, and that will remain there for 30 days. So, that's that's of benefit to you, and that all forms that are submitted remain there for 90 days. And you have the ability also to be able to download a PDF to save any submitted document for any of your internal records. So once you're within the submitted documents, you can click on any of the submissions that you've made there, and you will be able to see and save as a PDF. So that facility is available to you. In terms of, as mentioned from the outset, you know, the safeguarding and protection teams are available to you to provide advice, guidance and support. If you have any queries, we also will have information available to support the use of the portal, like a user guide in relation to the portal and indeed these recordings. So we'd encourage, you know, anyone who's going to be using the portal to first go and access that material. And if they encounter any difficulty, certainly the National Safeguarding Office is available to you. So you can address any queries to safeguarding.socialcare@hse.ie. And if you put adult safeguarding portal in the subject line, we will be able to address that.